This is IED Activity 5.5a, CAD Model Features Part 1, Problem number 4. Circular pattern. In this activity or this problem, we're going to be using sketching tools such as construction lines, center points or points, constraints, specifically vertical constraints using point-to-point alignment. We're going to share sketches, use our trim tool. Some of our feature tools will be revolve, hole, circular pattern, and a mid-plane symmetric extrusion. We are going to make a model of a flange plate. That flange plate looks like this down here when it's done. Has a series of holes in it, a hole through the middle, and a keyway right through the center top portion of the inner hole. So let's go ahead and get started in Inventor. In order to start this activity, the first thing we want to do is create this L shape. So I'm going to start a new 2D sketch on my XY plane. I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to zoom out 3 times, 3 clicks on my mouse wheel. I'm going to actually run this thing reverse. I'm going to flip this image over to the left, to the right side. Just going to find it's going to be a little more easy to work with when we get into it a little later. So I'm going to start here. I am going to go up 2.5 inches off my origin. I'm going to come to the right 0.5 inches. I'm going to come down 1.5 inches. So that's 2.5 minus this 1 inch will be 1.5. So 1.5 inches. Going to come over here to the right 0.5 inches. And I'm going to come down again, but I'm not going to go the whole way down this time. Because there's a little, it's 0.375 less than 1 inch. So I'm just going to come down here a little ways and click over, close that out, because I'm not sure exactly what that dimension is at this point. I mean, I know it in my brain, but I'm going to let AutoCAD Inventor do this for me. And I'm going to tell it 375 there. So that's going to clean that up for me. So now I know exactly where that is, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to trim that line out of there. So trim, get rid of this one because I don't want that there. And press escape a couple times to get out of that command. The last thing I want to do is I also want to draw a line here, which will be my axis of symmetry. And I want to make that a construction line. So I'm going to press escape a couple times to get out of my line command. Select that line and come up here to my construction line tool, click on that, and it turned my line into a construction line. You can barely see it there because the dimension line's covering it up. I can move that dimension line over here. It shows it up a little better than over on this side. So I think we're in good shape. We got everything dimensioned. We don't have this one here dimensioned. If we did, that would probably lock that down all the way, but we're okay. We don't need to know that. Actually, so let's move on, finish that sketch, and click on my home view so I can see it. Select the revolve tool. The revolve tool is going to know that we want this image that we just created. It wants to know what axis do we want to do it around. We're going to do it around this center line axis that we just created. And because we flipped this, that's going to put my image here on this side. So it's a little easier to see. The way they do it or show it on the other way, it would be backwards. I could have changed my view cube to match that. That doesn't matter. But I'm going to go ahead and click OK because now I like this. I can see this a lot better. And the next thing I need to do is put my keyway in right here. I need to put that keyway right in that area there. So I'm going to right click on that surface and select New Sketch. And I'm going to create a new rectangle at that point. So I'm just going to click on my 2-point rectangle tool. And at this point, I'm just going to make a rectangle. Don't care too, oops, sorry, not there. My mistake. That rectangle is going to be on this inner circle, right in this area. And I'm going to zoom in here so I can see where I am. And I'm going to click on my dimension tool from my origin to this outside edge. I'm going to pull that up here. That's 0.05 on that side. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, and it's going to be 0.05 to make that keyway. And at this point, I'll finish my sketch and I'll zoom in on that area. Whoops. Click on my extrude tool, and in doing my extrusion, I'm going to do a cut extrude that goes the whole way through, so it's going to go through all, and I'll click OK to that. And at this point, I'll click my home view. I can rotate this around. You can see I've got a keyway that's cut the whole way through this flange. So now go back to my home view and let's see what it wants us to do next. So I'll look down here. So now it's going to have us draw, or not draw, but insert some holes and some points. So in order to be able to put a hole in here, we got to have a point. And it's hard to read on this image, so I'm going to go back to my Project Lead the Way, my PLTW site, to get a better view of this. This image tells me that from the center point up, I'm going to put a point at 1.65 inches. So I'll go back into Inventor. I'm going to create a new sketch, but I'm going to put that sketch on this surface this time, the bigger one. And I'm going to place a point. So I'll find my point command tool here, which is on the Sketch tab under Create. I'm going to click up here on my y-axis, excuse me, anywhere, doesn't matter, because we're going to constrain it now with a dimension. From my origin to the point, the center point, I'm going to tell it to be, I don't remember, 1.65 inches. So that just put my point where I need it to be. And the next thing I want to do is it wants me to revolve this image. So, and we don't have the next set on here. It doesn't really tell us a lot. We'll just use Google, or I'm sorry, Project Lead the Way. Wants me to put a hole on here. I guess I'm not going to revolve it actually yet. I need to put the hole in. The hole is a drilled hole that is 0.5 inches in diameter through the whole thing, through all. So let's go ahead and finish that. I'm going to right click on my point, click on hole. It's a through hole, it's a drilled hole. It is a simple hole that is 0.5 inches through all. So I'll click on that. My hole is now in place. If I look at it here, you can see it goes the whole way through. Go back to my home view, and at this point I am going to rotate this feature all the way around this. And the question becomes, how many of these do we need? So let's look at our instructions here. We've got our hole. It's hard to see what the circular pattern says, but it's telling us we need 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. So we're going to go ahead and put 10 of those in place. So I'm going to click on the circular pattern command. What feature do I want? I want this hole. What's the axis? I should have an axis feature around which to rotate. Not seeing it at the moment, but let's see if we can make this work. I want to rotate it around this outer edge. That worked fine. I need 10 of them, so good to go. I'll click OK, and that is my feature right there, my pattern flanged, all completed. So you need to save this. They'd like you to save this as a circular pattern with your initials. So circular pattern with initials. If you want, you can always change the material by going all the way up to the part cube at the top of your browser, going into iProperties, and then go to physical and change it from generic material to, in this case, maybe we want it to be steel. Steel alloy, so it looks kind of like it's a part that you might find in a car. That's what we have. Looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save that and move on to the next project.